Hey guys, happy Wednesday. It's Joe, and it's time for Pocket with Joe. Shout out, Ben. I just started reading your name and then couldn't talk. Thank you for being here today. Okay, playoff hockey is where it's at, you guys. I don't know if you caught last night's games. Absolutely insane. We saw all four underdogs get the win now. The Kraken, what an incredible feat to beat the Colorado Avalanche. Loved what I saw out of them last night. I had them plus 1.5 sprinkled on that money line with them. So they definitely paid off. The New York Rangers coming out absolutely on fire as well. Wonderful to see. We made some money last night, you guys. We got some player props. Hopefully you took a Braden Point for the anytime goal or points, and Ryan O'Reilly. We were writing them both for over on their points, so that cashed nicely. Really disappointed with what I saw out of the Leafs yesterday. I expected more out of this team, and I expected more out of Vegas. So, some of these bets were harder, some of those games harder, but we still overall made some freaking money. So you guys, let's do it again. Shout out to you, Matt. Shout out to you, Chris. We've got 4 games now. We've already seen game 1 of the series of all of these 4 games. So I'm going to go over what we saw in each of these games in the last one, give you what I'm liking in the games tonight, let you know who won the faceoffs, who had more hits, who limited the others in their ability to get those shots on goal, and who got the win. And then we will talk about what I like. So let's jump into the first one. The New York Islanders taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, minus 170 here for the Carolina Hurricanes, plus 145 for the Islanders total. Solid at 5.5 on some books, other books dropping it down to 5. Either way, I think you're safe with taking the under in this one. We hit the under in the first game. It cashed nicely for us with the 2-1 win for the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, the one thing that was really interesting in that one is Carolina was only able to score on the power play. So I am really confident in this under. A little bit of concern here with Carolina to get the win, but I do think home ice is major for this team during the regular season, 29-10-1 at home during the season. So we will see a really solid home ice performance out of them. Because I'm kind of leaning that way, what I'm going to look at is I'm going to sprinkle the puck line, laying 1.5 on the puck line for the Carolina Hurricanes. If the Islanders can get the penalties, we are going to see Carolina go up. They are so phenomenally strong on the power play that I do think that we can see Carolina maybe get an empty netter to make this a 1.5 puck line cover for us, a 2-goal win here. At plus 152, I do think it's worth a sprinkle. I'd rather do that than hit Carolina in regulation. I think it is a better way to go over the long-term one betting for myself, at least. So when we look at the New York Islanders, they were 0 for 4 on the power play. We saw the Carolina Hurricanes control 51.4% of the faceoffs. They're also 2-4 on the power play. The Islanders actually played a more physical game. They had 44 hits compared to Carolina's 39. Shots on goal, though, is where the defense of Carolina dominated. They had 37 shots on goal themselves. On Sorokin, we went over on Sorokin save shots on goal. We're going to hit that again tonight, you guys. And they limited the Islanders to only 26 shots on goal. So looking at that, I'm expecting the defense to come out just as strong for Carolina. I do think that we will see the Islanders in this one make some mistakes. So I'm looking for that empty netter to get us that puck line win for Carolina, but I do think the best bet is the under 5.5. You guys know how dangerous it is to take a puck line when you're riding an under, and this Islanders team, inconsistencies galore, but I do think they're going to be desperate in this one. They're coming in on that 1 day's rest. They've been strong on 1 day's rest, but they struggled in Carolina. So I'm not buying the fact that they're going to come out strong here in this one. I do think this is Carolina's game. This is an under game. Carolina sprinkled that puck line. And we're also going to look, though, at Sorokin for his save shots on goal for the Islanders, because we saw 37 shots out of Carolina in the last game. I still think we see those shots coming in tonight. So let's just pull up Sorokin's numbers because I haven't got this bet in on it yet. make sure he is confirmed. So Sorokin, save shots on goal, 31.5. We're going to hit it. I believe the last time it was 30.5. It's minus 122 to the over. If you want better value on this, because we did see 37, right? We saw 37 shots out of Carolina in the last game. If you take Sorokin up to 33, 34 shots on goal, you're starting to get plus money there. So depending on where you feel confident in Carolina to still get these shots. Now, I still do think the shots are coming in. I don't think the defense of the Islanders can play any more solid than they did in the last one. I think it was a really good performance out of the defense, and I think that's one of the better performances out of the defense of the Islanders. So I would look at taking Sorokin up. I would take it up to 33. As soon as you hit over 33, save shots on goal, you're getting that at plus 102. So I think it is a nice way to look in that one. You know it, Chris. We're riding that over for sure. So his number comes in at 32.5, or sorry, let me just pull up his number again. It's not 32.5. If we buy it up to 33, we get plus money. Sorokin is 31.5. So we'll put that as one of the best bets, over 31.5 for Sorokin. We know he's going to stand on his head. Let's look at the next game on the board, you guys. Benji already taking Bent Burns over 3.5 shots on goal. That's at plus 130. I do like Burns to come out nice and strong. You got to look at these shots on goal rather than taking the anytime goal scorers. Look at the shots, look at the points over the goal scorers in playoff hockey. I definitely think it is a solid way to go. Unless you got a player like Connor McDavid, who was really limited in the last game. But the Kings always limit Connor McDavid. So we'll talk about that game later here, but we're going to look at the Florida Panthers taking on the Boston Bruins. Now, Lyon is confirmed in goal, and Ullmark is confirmed for the Boston Bruins. Bruins coming in at over a $2 favorite here, plus 185 for the Florida Panthers. That total high at 6.5. Now, the last game out, game one of the series, we saw the Boston Bruins win that 3-1. Looking at and watching that game, it felt like a much tighter game than it actually was. I really did like what we saw out of the Florida Panthers. And you know, in the first round, the first game, I was riding the plus 1.5. I still do think the plus 1.5 is the right move for this series with the Florida Panthers here tonight. At plus 1.5, we're getting that at minus 140. And I know it didn't hit last game, but it was so close to hitting. It was within that. We're going to get a goal that I would have rather had been sitting with the Florida Panthers with the hopes that they got the goal than the Boston Bruins with the keep away game from the Florida Panthers. So when we look at the face-off battle, we saw Boston win 52.2% of those face-offs. Now, they did get one of their goals on a power play. They went 1 and 2 on the power play. They did a really strong job of a penalty kill. They didn't allow the Florida Panthers to score on the penalty kill. They had on the power play, the Florida Panthers had 2 power plays in that one. Now, looking at who played a more physical game, Florida actually came out with 44 hits. Boston hit 43. So both of these teams getting those hits in. When we look at who had more shots on goal, interesting, the Florida Panthers came out getting 32 shots on goal. They limited the Boston Bruins to 29 shots on goal with the majority of their shots. They got 13 shots in the third period there. So it was an interesting game for sure. I do think Florida has the ability to keep this one tight. Not sure if they win it. Bergeron's still out for the Boston Bruins. I'm not sure about illness, what is really happening with this team. Very limited news on that. That first period, over 1.5. I know we only saw Boston get a goal in the last one, but I could see that over 1.5 come in and cash in this game today. Now, that full total, I'm not willing to touch. You guys know I don't want to touch an over 6.5 in playoff hockey. I really do think with Florida's ability to hold the Bruins to, I believe it was 8 shots in both the first and the second period, is absolutely phenomenal. So we are seeing this defense really step up for the Florida Panthers. So not touching that full game total, but I do think you could see that first period go over the 1.5. Over for 1.5 in the first period is minus 128. But I do think Florida plus 1.5 is the way to go. Now, can they win it tonight? I don't know. Boston is just such a dominant team. You guys know I have Boston for the sweep at plus 490 as well as in 5 because I thought there was value on both. If the Florida Panthers pull this one off in Boston tonight, I'm going to be really even concerned about the in 5. I was really impressed with what I saw out of them in that last game. So fingers crossed, I can hold on to that for sure. He had 6 last game. Who had 6 in the last game? Oh, Burns had 6 in the last game. Yeah, absolutely. You definitely want to hit that tonight. And Chris, I agree with you. We should see Florida get a couple tonight. There was a couple really close calls. I believe there was 1 goal pulled back for the Florida Panthers. I think there was 1 pulled back for the Boston Bruins too. I was flipping back and forth, and we've had feels like 5 million games since Monday night, but it's only been 8 games in total in the last 2 days. But I tell you, playoff hockey is something else. I don't know about your guys' stress level during playoff hockey. Mine is through the roof watching these games. Both teams to score in the first period. Absolutely. I love that tonight with the Florida Panthers and the Boston Bruins. I do think both of these teams find the back of the goalies' nets quick, fast in that first period, and then defenses get back underneath them. I think especially for the Florida Panthers, a little bit of nerves to come out to start. I do think offensively they will be strong. I think the nerves come defensively, and we see a nice quick goal out of both of those teams. Now, the both teams to score in the first period, I will just get the value for it. I believe it was plus 160 earlier this morning on both teams to score, but off the top of my head, I don't have the number in mind. I believe it was plus 160. Oops, sorry. I was looking at goalie props again. Both teams to score in the first period is coming in at plus 176. So we are getting more value, more than plus 160. It's plus 176. So I do think that is a great way to go. And that over 1.5 coming in at minus 128. So I think both of those are really solid bets. I wouldn't throw the both teams to score into a parlay, but I definitely would bet it separately, straight up in your bets. The next game on the board, we have the Minnesota Wild taking on the Dallas Stars. Now, you guys know I was riding a Dallas in that last game, really expecting them to get the win, but we also had the under 5.5, and that was a stronger bet of that game. Same thing here today. I do think the under 5.5, while the stronger of the 2 bets, I like Dallas even more today than I did on Monday. I'm looking at this Dallas team, watching that game. I thought the Minnesota Wild really, they didn't control the faceoffs. They didn't get as many hits. They just didn't look like the team that was going to win the game, watching this game play out. So this one went to double overtime with the Wild getting that double overtime win. I do think Dallas gets this win at home. They are very strong on the power play. They've hit 25% of the time during the regular season on that power play, and their penalty kill hits at 83.5% of the time, which is 3rd overall in the league. Now, I do think it's a solid defensive and goaltending game. I would look at Gustafson's save shots to the over. We're going to pull up that number in a second. Ottinger's coming in at 27.5. And now you guys know my thoughts on teams that he's coming in at 27.5. We only see the Minnesota Wild averaging right around 30.9. In the last game, we did see the Dallas Stars be able to limit the shots by the Wild a little bit. So I wouldn't look at the Wild shots on goal and Ottinger's saves, but I would look at Gustafson's save shots on goal in this one. The Dallas Stars just controlling that faceoff at 56.7%. I loved what I saw out of that. Now taking them for the full game on that money line is a little juicy at minus 150, but I do think it is a solid way to go in this one. You could look at Dallas to come out really strong in that first period, cover that puck line. I do like teams off a loss in playoffs here to just come out really strong out of the gate when they're at home. Now the Wild's team total is another play I really like here. Under 2.5 at minus 122. I think it is a solid way to go in this one. And then the under 5.5. But I do prefer the Wild's team total under 5.5 over the full game under 5.5, because when we look at this, we could see the Dallas Stars explode in this game. The last game on the board, you guys, we have the LA Kings taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Now, this is a late game. It kicks off at 10 o'clock Eastern. High total, 6.5. Don't love this total here. I think we have to lean to the under in this one. We look at the Edmonton Oilers and watching that last game. They completely controlled this last game until the very end. They started getting penalties, and we had, 2 goals in a minute out of the LA Kings to tie this game up and push it to overtime. And then, of course, the Edmonton Oilers lose in overtime. We made money still. We had Korpisalo for his safe shots on goal. We had Skinner for his safe shots on goal. Thankfully, we had OT for both of those goalies to cash. One of those was cashing before we went to OT, but I can't remember off the top of my head which one it was. We also had the LA Kings plus 1.5. I do think this is another tight fought battle, but I could see Edmonton picking up the win here. I'm not willing to take Edmonton as a $2 favorite, though. You guys know there is no value at taking a $2 favorite. When we look at who controlled this game, like I said, Edmonton controlled it. They won 57.5% of the faceoffs. They went 1-3 on the power plays. We did see the LA Kings go 2-6 on the power plays. Penalties were key to the loss for the Edmonton Oilers. We know this. That last goal in OT came from an Edmonton penalty. You should never see a team in overtime take a penalty. Edmonton played a stupid game, and the LA Kings deserve to get that win. Now, who does my heart want to win? LA, absolutely. I love the Kings so much. I love what we've seen out of Korpisalo. I'm going to take his safe shots on goal, but I'm going to ride here with Skinner, his safe shots as well. And I'm going to look at Connor McDavid for the point tonight. Let's see how much we have to buy up to get value for Connor McDavid for a point tonight. The LA Kings are very good at controlling Connor McDavid and limiting him. So the 1+ point is coming in at -850. We don't want to go there. The 2+ points at -162. So I'm not even going to look at his points. Let's see what we can get for him for shots on goal tonight. See if we can get any value with Connor McDavid for his shots. 3+ shots at -670. We have to take him up to 5 shots on goal to hit -114. And I'm not willing to do it, you guys. The LA Kings are very solid at limiting these shots on goal. And they've limited Connor McDavid. So I can't get there. Even with overtime last time, we saw only 40 shots on goal out of the Edmonton Oilers. To take 5+ on one player, I'm just not willing to go there. The Edmonton Oilers did have 50 hits in the last game. So nice physical game out of both of these teams, with the LA Kings coming in at 49 hits in that one and 35 shots on goal. So if Edmonton can play disciplined, they can get this win today. Finding the value is a hard thing to find the value in this one. I'd look at Edmonton in the first period. We saw them go up 2-0 in the first period. In game one. So taking them on that puck line, laying a half a goal here is +130. The over 1.5 I'm flirting with in this one, because I do think it's probably a safer way than just taking Edmonton on the puck line in the first period, taking the over 1.5. And then we don't really care who scores. We will just look for 2 quick goals like we saw in the last one. The last 2 goals, though, in that first period did come out of the Edmonton Oilers. The Kings +1.5 at -135, I do think is the right side if you're looking to grab a side here, looking for another tight game. Now, as for this total, the 6.5, I think the first period goes over, and then we see things start to slow down. So what we're going to do is we're going to live bet this one, just like we were able to in the last game. When you see those quick goals come out, that is the time to grab the under. When we see this total jump up to 7, hitting it under, at worst we get the push like we did in the last game when it jumped up to 7. I also want you guys to, if you don't want to live bet the LA Kings right now, which I'm not sure if I'll get to the window with it right now, +1.5. What I would like to see is Edmonton come out strong in that first period to get up 2-0 again. We are going to get +2 or +2.5 or +1.5 for so much more value than -135 for the Kings at +1.5, because we know Edmonton can let these leads go. And we know the LA Kings are going to be fighting for their lives in this one. We're going to ride Korpisalo and Skinner for their save shots over again. I do think this is a great one to ride with in this game. So you guys, we've got 4 playoff hockey games tonight. Like I said, playoff hockey is where it's at. I will be coming at you with some live updates on YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. So make sure you tune in if you haven't followed me over on TikTok. We have a lot of fun over on TikTok. So check it out over there, and check me out on Twitter if you haven't as well. So recap, parlay, best bet time of the day, you guys. I'm excited for these games. We should have some fantastic games. I would love to see all of these series get tied up, to be honest with you. I want these games to go to 7, except for Boston and Florida, because I do have that one bet to be finished early. So let's look here. We got the New York Islanders taking on the Carolina Hurricanes, 7 o'clock Eastern. We're going to take Sorokin. His save shots on goal tonight. I think hitting that to the over is definitely where we have to go. It's 31.5. Like I said, I would buy that up to 33 to get some more plus money on Sorokin save shots. I think the Carolina Hurricanes are going to play so solid. And I would look at the Islanders. I think that last game out was how strong their defense is. Only allowing those 2 goals on power plays, I do think we see a phenomenal game. I'm going to sprinkle on Carolina laying the 1.5 on the puck line. Empty netter is the only way I really see this one playing out, us getting that. But I do think if New York pulls Sorokin early, we will see Carolina get that puck line win in this one. At plus 152 for myself, it is worth a sprinkle. I do think Carolina gets the win, but I do think this is another game under 5.5. So for the parlay, give me the Islanders and the Canes under 5.5. Looking at the Florida Panthers and the Boston Bruins again, I think the Panthers plus 1.5, even though it didn't hit last game, is the way to go. So I'm going to put the Panthers plus 1.5 into the parlay. I am going to put a little bit of money, I'm not going to lie, on the Panthers to pull off the upset at plus 185, just with what we saw out of them in the last game. I'm not feeling as comfortable in Boston getting the sweep here. I could see Florida pulling off the upset tonight and then Boston rolling into Florida, winning the next 2 in Florida, then coming home and finishing this off. So I'm feeling confident in my Boston and 5-bet, not feeling too confident in the sweep after what we saw in the last game with that 3-1 win for Boston. It definitely felt like a much closer game. Now, looking at the save shots on goal, I do think we probably have to look at Lions save shots on goal. Ullmark save shots on goal. The last game, the Florida Panthers put up 32 shots on Ullmark. So Lions saved 29, he had 29 shots on him. Boston got 3, so that was 26 he had. Ullmark only allowed 1 of 32, so he had 31 save shots on goal. Let's just quickly look at his numbers as we finish this off. Bear with me, guys. All of the goalies hadn't been confirmed before. I had to run a couple errands here. So let's look at these goalie props. Lyon is coming in at 28.5 save shots on goal, and Ullmark is coming in at 30.5. I'm not going to touch Ullmark's, you guys. I do think Lyon over 28.5 save shots on goal is a nice way to go. I'm going to take his tonight. So the 28.5 save shots on goal comes in at minus 122 to the over. I think that's a phenomenal way to go. He has to have a stellar night for the Florida Panthers to be able to keep this one tight. So I am going to go with that. I do think this one is a tight game. The next game on the board, to recap, the Minnesota Wild and the Dallas Stars. Gustafsson's save shots on goal. We're going to look at him as well. I do think the Dallas Stars come out absolutely phenomenally strong in this game. I think they have a bounce back. Now, Gustafsson isn't confirmed. Ottinger is confirmed. His number is 27.5. The Wild just don't put up enough shots for me to feel comfortable with that, and the Dallas Stars do limit that. So Gustafsson, I would look at once he is confirmed. If he's hitting right around that 28.5, I would look at Gustafsson for the over. But I do think this is a Dallas Stars game to win. I also think this one is a Wild's team total under 2.5 is the right way to go in this one. I'm going to put Dallas on the money line in the parlay. One of my best bets today, you guys, it has gone out to my clients, is the Wild's team total under 2.5. I really do think they're held to only 2 goals in this game. And that's why I like that better than the full game under 5.5 or 5. There are some 5s popping up just because I do think Dallas could explode in this one if Gustafsson doesn't stand on his head. Now, I do think Gustafsson will stand on his head, but I do think the Wild really answer back the Stars really answer back after the Wild won that last game in second overtime. Now, like I said, it's going to be another super physical game here. Both of these teams really getting the hits. The Dallas Stars put up 50 hits on the Wild in that last game. They're playing the more physical. They went 2-5 on the power plays, and the Wild went 1-4 in the power plays and 42 hits. So the Wild won the first period in the last game. Then we saw 3 goals in the second period. The Wild got 1. The Stars got 2. Went scoreless in the third. So I do think these defenses will lock down, but I do think the Dallas Stars come out on top. So give me Dallas on the money line there. And then for that last game, the LA Kings, Edmonton Oilers, you guys, this one is going to be the game of the night, at least for me. I really do think that 6.5 is too high for playoff hockey. Could we see this one going over? Absolutely, and that's why live bet this total. When we see a high-scoring first period, watch the line movement. As soon as this one hits 7, even if it hits, even if it hits 7.5, of course, anything over 7, hit it to the under. We are going to see the goals hopefully come in that first period, and we're able to do that. If this one goes the opposite way, where we don't see the goals in the first period, they take this total of 6.5 down to 5.5. Oh my God, jump on the over. I do think this is a 6-goal game in this one. 7 at the worst, so that's why we want to make sure we get that 7 if we see those goals fast. So it's going to be crazy, you guys. That last game should not have gone over the total. We should have stayed under, but the Kings got 2 quick goals to tie it up. Edmonton, if they take these penalties again, they're going to shoot themselves in the foot because they will go down 0-2 versus the LA Kings, but I don't think so. I think Edmonton gets the win here. I think the LA Kings keep it tight, though. Plus 1.5 for the Kings is where I got to put my money. The puck line for Edmonton in the first period. On that puck line, off a loss, off frustration, laying the half a goal at plus 130. I do think we get the first period over 1.5, and that's what I'm going to take. First period over 1.5 for the parlay for the Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. It's going to be one hell of a game, you guys. So the Islanders and the Canes under 5.5. The Panthers plus 1.5. The Dallas Stars on the money line, and the first period over 1.5 for the Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. Now, the goalie props I absolutely love are Sorokin, save shots on goal over 31.5. Lions, save shots on goal over 28.5. Korpisalo, I just have to look at his numbers, and Skinner. We're going to hit both the goalies in the late game tonight between LA and Edmonton. And let me just pull up their numbers here. These shots are coming. You guys, this one is another game that could go to overtime again. We could see it. We could see 4 overtimes in this series between these two. So I am liking both of them. So Korpisalo has not been confirmed. Skinner is 28.5 at minus 106 to the over. I do think that comes in nicely. Now, Korpisalo, last game out. Let me just see what his numbers were on a Monday. Day is it? We are the 18th today. The 16th would have been Monday. I keep all of my notes and all of my bets. So Korpisalo was at, I didn't put it on the computer because we did it right here. Korpisalo was at 30.5. So riding him to that over again, even if he's at 30.5, 31.5, I would look at Korpisalo to go over that number. We saw how many he saved in the last game. He was absolutely on fire. So I would look at Korpisalo over. Anything 31.5 would be okay. 32.5, okay. At 33, I would be a little cautious. So you guys, 28.5. See, I must have brought it up. I've got 30.5 in my notes, Joe. But yeah, 28.5 sounds more like what his number would have been at. We're going to make some freaking money tonight, you guys. Again, those goalie props, Sorokin save shots on goal to the over. Lions save shots on goal to the over. Korpisalo save shots on goal to the over. And Skinner's save shots on goal to the over. That parlay one more time. Islanders and Canes under 5.5. Panthers plus 1.5. Dallas on the money line. First period over 1.5 for the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. You guys, let's make some freaking money today. I want to wish you guys all the best in all of your bets. I will be on Sports Grid tonight. Just got the memo on that. So I will see you guys over on Sports Grid, 6:12 Eastern. 8:12 Eastern. I will be on Sports Grid. So come on over. Say hi. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Keep smiling. Let's make some freaking money. Bye, guys.